Hello everybody and welcome back to F1 23 with me, Dan, and the Slothz Tech team as we renegotiate our contract with Jack Doohan. And as I said in the last episode, and by the Steam achievement which just popped up at the bottom of the screen, we did in fact retain him for another 6 months. We pick up a plank upgrade there for the chassis, and you probably see that we were lagging a bit behind all of the other teams. And now we have to pick a new rival, which is a little bit difficult because all three of these drivers are going to beat us. So we'll take Perez because we do like it, having a bit of fun with Sergio Perez. Carrying on then, we've basically filled up all of the activities because it's quite a long break between Britain and the next race. Our drag reduction upgrade from the previous race has failed, so we'll go into aero and pick that one up again. You can see we're actually doing pretty well in terms of performance in aero. It's mainly the chassis that we're lagging in now, which isn't helped by the plank not working there, and we don't have enough to carry it on, so we're gonna have to wait until practice is over in Belgium. And off to practice we go. We've only got 2 sessions to do in this race because, to my surprise, Belgium has a sprint race. Wasn't expecting that, and I'm not sure how I feel about it. I can't deny I do like doing an extra lap or 2 around Belgium. Do I really want to do it as sprint qualifying? Maybe is the answer to that one. Anyway, on to practice 2, the final practice of the session, and picking up the points again. Just basically trying to find something useful that we can go for here. We're going to go for the 75 points, which we do get, and then the drag reduction upgrades here because we love those, and we get that as well, which is fantastic, but we're out of time. So we're going to head over to R&D. We're going to pick up that plank upgrade one more time. You can see that we are very bad in the chassis department, and then we're going to spend a little bit more on this ERS cooling upgrade as well. Not that we need it though, looking at that graph. So then on to Belgium, one of my personal favourites of the entire season, and we're going to be starting a little bit further back in this session, primarily due to the fact that the weather in practice wasn't exactly advantageous to us. And if you know Belgium, it is absolutely hammering it down. We're not the only ones starting out of position though, so don't forget to like this video, hit that subscribe button and turn on that notification bell so you know who they are, and you know when all the next videos are uploaded as well. They'll be on Tuesdays and Thursdays from now on. Onto the starting grid then, we have Max Verstappen and Charles Leclerc lining up on the front row, with Leclerc taking pole position. Return to familiar territory there with those two. Further down the order, we have, eventually, Carlos Sainz and Sergio Perez, George Russell and Fernando Alonso, Pierre Gasly and Esteban Ocon, Lance Stroll and Jack Doohan, Joe Guanyu, Nico Hülkenberg, Oscar Piastri and Alex Albon, Yuki Tsunoda and Radiant Slothz, Nick De Vries and Lewis Hamilton, Valtteri Bottas and Logan Sargent, and finally it's Lando Norris and Kevin Magnussen. And yes, rain causing issues for us in qualifying, just came down at the wrong time, and you could see a few other cars that didn't exactly work out for either. So on to the sprint race. So we got a bit of ground to make up, so does Hamilton and potentially Norris as well. Magnussen should be able to make up a few places too, given the fact that the rain just came down at the worst possible moment and stopped at the wrong time for everyone. Down the inside of most of the field we go into turn 1, and we're alongside Joe Guanyu and almost get past our teammate Jack Doohan, who for some reason is running the medium tyre for a 5-lap sprint race. But never mind, we yield to Joe Guanyu, so we remain, well, outside of the points, and we will be until we displace our teammate. And try to defend now for the Haas. Nico Hülkenberg is going to the right-hand side of us. Alex Albon, podium finisher in Britain, looks to the left but sticks behind us. And we managed to hold off Nico Hülkenberg just a little bit longer, and hopefully Alex Albon can start crawling his way up the order as well. End of lap 1 then, sliding around all over the place there as we nearly lock the rears and spin out of control. Trying to go past Joe Guanyu. We weren't quite close enough there, but we may be able to get him here into turn 1. A little bit gentler on the brakes. We slow down a little bit slower and we can ride our speed through the corner. And we're into 11th place. Unfortunately, we're going to have to upset Jack Doohan here by overtaking him before the end of the sprint. But then again, we are second in the championship as we nearly yeet ourselves into the shadow realm there. This time pulling off the move. We tried on Zhou Guanyu, going to the inside, now the outside, and we just get a better traction. Careful not to spin up the wheels on the curb, and away we go into the top 10. We got 3 laps to go. DRS is enabled. And up ahead, we've got George Russell, who may be having issues as he's being chased down by Pierre Gasly and Lance Stroll. Has dropped back quite significantly from Esteban Ocon. Up the hill we go for a race. We've got a Williams in last. Not sure what that's about. Potentially Logan Sargent picked up some damage. And there goes Gasly up the inside of Russell. He's going to force him wide. Gasly around the outside here. Holds everyone up and we nearly run into the back of Lance Stroll. Jack Doohan just happy that we gave him the tow along the back straight as well. Camel straight. And now Gasly will accelerate away. Russell absolutely is running worn components. He wouldn't be going that slow otherwise as we ride on the TV broadcast cam. Down the hill we go, right up the ass of Lance Stroll. And to the outside we go, into the right-hander. Into the left-hander we go. Stroll still hanging on after 2 attempts now to try and get past him. One which nearly ended in us rear-ending him. And we come round on to my favourite section of the track. When you've got a fast car here, you can just weave in and out of traffic like it's a video game. But we're going to follow behind the Aston Martin, diving up the inside into Blanchimont, and there we go, taken away 9th place from the Aston Martin, and hopefully we can get past Russell as well. Before he doesn't even let us wait for the DRS zone. Russell runs wide and allows us to get past up into P8, and also Stroll to get past into P9, meaning that our teammate Jack Doohan now sits behind the Mercedes and hopefully can get past into the points as Stroll now takes advantage of the DRS on the final lap of the sprint. We're going to dive into the slipstream. We are closing up somehow. Dive on the brakes. He keeps it together. Very well controlled there from Lance Stroll, but it wasn't enough. This is Jack Doohan. Up the hill he goes. Behind the Mercedes. To the left-hand side. And yes, he does get past Jack Doohan up into the top 10 once again. Looking good for the race for him. As we come down towards the bus stop chicane, Stroll has accelerated away. Surprisingly, isn't able to do that because he smashed our car to pieces. Just the fact that he is a little bit faster and needs some clean air. And we come round the final corner. There is Doohan in the background. We smash up our front wing and our tyre because we've got nothing better to do than to piss money away that the team has given us. And that's it. That's potentially a point there. I can't remember who scores points in the sprint, but we're going to find out in just a second as we see the final results. Unfortunately, no, we didn't get any. And we finished P9 ahead of our teammate Jack Doohan. So with the sprint race over, the heavens have opened, and now we have to endure the horrifying wet weather race. And at Belgium, no less either. Could you believe it? So, starting off in the sprint race, we did fairly well. We recovered from 16th to 9th. Unfortunately, though, we've only got a few of the slower cars ahead of us, so it might be a little bit difficult to make some progress going forward. Anyway, once again, don't forget to like this video, hit that subscribe button, and turn on that notification bell so you know when all of these races are uploaded. And we'll get on with what is going to be a ridiculously wet Belgium Grand Prix. Onto the starting grid we go, and it's Charles Leclerc starting behind his teammate now, Carlos Sainz, on the front row of the grid, but a front row lockout for the Ferraris nonetheless. Then we have Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez, Fernando Alonso and Esteban Ocon, Pierre Gasly, Lance Stroll, Radiant Slothz and Jack Doohan. Behind them, George Russell and Zhou Guanyu, Alex Albon and Nico Hülkenberg, Oscar Piastri and Lewis Hamilton, Yuki Tsunoda and Valtteri Bottas, Nick De Vries, Kevin Magnussen, and finally Logan Sargent and Lando Norris rounded out the back of the field. Norris taking penalties there, presumably due to engine component wear, which isn't good. And surprisingly enough, Lewis Hamilton way down in 16th still after starting there in the sprint, so was not able to actually get anywhere in that race, it would seem. So as the rain very briefly stops and then starts again in the matter of seconds, we'll get on with the Belgium Grand Prix. Right then, 5 red lights will send us away once again into the canals of Spa-Francorchamps. As we come down towards turn 1, here we're going to take a very deep inside line as the frame rate begins to fall away with the amount of spray that we've got going on here. Doing is fighting with Joe Granier already into turn 1. We've got Lance Stroll behind us now as we go for a move on Pierre Gasly. Just out of turn 1, up the hill we go into Eau Rouge. We've managed to hold on to the position. Now moving up into P7. That's 2 positions gained in the matter of a few corners. As Stroll goes flying onto the grass there, nearly a massive accident being caused if he'd lost control. There's Gasly now weaves all over the place, trying to get up the inside. He doesn't do it. And now Jack Doohan is challenging Lance Stroll. He's had an awful start to the Grand Prix. And Jack Doohan is passed. And unfortunately, due to the weather, things have pretty much remained as they were up until now. We've got a Haas a little way back who's causing a traffic jam and a half.
So the rain should be stopping anytime soon. So watch those lap times. We may have to hit the dries at very short notice.
And there's confirmation of the weather from the race engineer there. And on lap 6, now lap 7, we're chasing down Esteban Ocon, but we're still waiting for the rain to stop. Behind us, Doohan still in 9th. So well done to him. He's chasing down Gasly. Although if DRS does get enabled in the next few laps with the rain drying out, because you can see it is visually a bit dry now, a bit of a line appearing, then he may come under threat from the Aston Martin. But along the Cabell Straight we go. Past Esteban Ocon, we were going to take P6. Ocon's going to come back at us through the chicane, and he's managed to chicken out of it. I'm not sure what he did there, but he slammed on the brakes, and we picked up the fastest Sector 1 there, which isn't surprising, considering our power unit is the best of them all on the grid. But we rejoin. This is the closing stages of lap 8 now, so we're nearly halfway through the race. Well, we weren't sure what the tyre would be. That statement alone is enough to turn us over to dries, but with the DRS being enabled by the stewards as well, it's time to come in, and everybody's shuffling around, which indicates that there are some pit stops going on. We're going to come in now. Hopefully, Doohan comes in as well, but we don't end up holding each other up too much. And hopefully we don't get any issues like we did out last time in Silverstone. There's Doohan. So we've got a few seconds to try and get through here. No issues so far, and away we go. Out of the pit lane. Nobody around us. Here we go with Doohan. In he goes. And that seemed to be pretty quick there. There was a little pause afterwards as Alex Albon gets out ahead of him. So potentially was held up for the Williams, and he rejoins in P14. Lewis Hamilton still in P15 behind him, and we come round hoping to try and take out those 3 cars coming into the pit lane now. That's going to be, well, Perez, Sainz, and potentially Alonso coming in. I think Russell, yeah, Russell's coming in as well. He's lost out by not coming in sooner. Behind us, where is Doohan, actually? Where is he? I think he's in that cluster being led by the McLaren right now. Yep, there he is, just about emerging. As we come around turn 1, there's Carlos Sainz, but here is Sergio Perez on cold medium tyres as we come past him up the inside into Eau Rouge, cut across the curb slightly there, banging against his underfloor, potentially causing a little bit of damage. But we scooch around the outside of him with the DRS, and Sergio Perez Not very happy about that. We'll have to look at the back of our car once again in this season. Although, now that the dries are on and we're quite far back from Carlos Sainz, he shouldn't have much of a problem getting past us right here on the Camel Straight. In fact, Alonso is also close up to the back of us as well, just to make matters even worse. And Doohan is now being chased down by both Mercedes, which may be a death sentence for his hopes at actually scoring any points. Perez goes to the outside and is easily passed. We're going to tuck into the slipstream, see if we can challenge this. He's going to go to the inside, but he's going to lock up and give us the position back. Oh, how I love doing that to Sergio Perez, because it just happens so frequently. I don't know what the Codys have done to Sergio Perez, but for whatever reason, they've just made him a little bit easy to get past, let's say, and easy to cause mistakes. Not that I think he makes too many of those, unless it's in qualifying recently. Anyway, here he comes again into the long chicane. He's hanging on around the outside and just has more grip there and was able to take away a position from us, but we will be able to chase him down towards the end of the lap. We'll have 5 laps to go. No, 4 laps to go after this one. So we'll have a few opportunities to try and get past him again, as long as we can stay within a second. As we come down towards Blanchimont, we actually back out of it this time, which is unlike us. But we're going to try and go past into the bus stop chicane. We're making a little bit of contact there, but Sergio Perez finds his nerves of steel and doesn't yield the position away. This is where things get a little bit dangerous, because he is much faster at pulling away than we are. Through turn 1, not the best entry through there, and he starts to accelerate away. Let's see what happens here. Half a second ahead of us going through Eau Rouge. We've managed to bring that down to 4/10. Can we get past him again? We've got a yellow flag up ahead for something going on, but we're going past Sergio Perez. There's a yellow flag, and we get past before the yellow flag is enforced, and Max Verstappen is out of the session again. Not good for the 2-time world champion, and not good for this championship, because I really don't want to win it in my first season. I know how weird that sounds, but I don't. And here he is, passing Charles Leclerc for the lead and breaking down at the end of the Camel Straight. That is not good for Red Bull. As we rejoin, we're now in a podium position thanks to the retirement of Max Verstappen. Unfortunately, we are still being chased by a Red Bull and an Aston Martin. Along the Camel Straight we go, and Perez has already got the DRS open. He's already moved across. We're going to try and defend it as best we can, but he's just too fast for us with that wing open. And he takes away our podium for now. We've still got 2 laps to go. But unfortunately, he was able to slip away, and we rejoin at the end of lap 14, where Fernando Alonso is chasing us down towards Blanchimont. Up the inside we go, holding on to P4 by the skin of our teeth here as Fernando Alonso chases us down. We've also got to be wary of the 2 Alpines, who aren't a million miles behind us. There's one of them. Okay, perhaps Gasly is a million miles behind us. All the way down with our teammate Jack Doohan has 1 lap to try and get past Alex Albon. We don't know what the split times are, unfortunately, because they took that out of the game. I'm not sure why. So we'll have to just live with the fact that we're not going to know for the time being. We'll have to focus on this battle. Alonso, DRS open. We're going to be deploying all of our battery as well, but is it enough? Alonso to the inside. We go very defensive there, and he's going to try up the inside, but we just get a little bit more grip around the outside and take away the very small amount of time that he had there in P4 and reclaim it for ourselves. Perez, very happy with the fact that we're fighting, is driving off into the sunset. And that is exactly where Fernando Alonso would like to have been challenging this race, trying to get another podium under his belt. Instead, he has to settle for 4th or 5th, or maybe even worse than that if the worst should happen. Coming through the final few corners of Sector 2 and into Sector 3. He tried to get past us here before. He may try it again now as he comes flying up behind. He's very close now. We're going to have to employ some very defensive measures here. Just trying to make the car as wide as possible and as awkward to get past as possible as well. He has surrendered. And we're going to come down towards the bus stop chicane. You can see we've used up all the battery there as the lights come on. And Alonso settles for 5th as we come round the final corner. And across the line we go. We have another enormous accident into the pit wall. And we pick up P4, which is our best result for quite a little bit of time. And all of that was due to the safety car, I would say there. And that is exactly the sort of position that we want to be in. Not better than Red Bull, Ferrari, Mercedes and Aston Martin, but good enough that when there is an issue or when there's rain and a strategy call to make, we're able to just jump up the order past them as they try and figure out how to get both cars to stay in the top 5. And that is exactly what has happened today. Charles Leclerc picked up that win, and he's joined on the podium by his teammate Carlos Sainz as it's a Ferrari 1-2. And there's Perez with a cheeky little after squirt of champagne into Charles Leclerc's eyes, just for good measure. On to the full weekend result. You can see that 11 drivers picked up points here during this weekend, with Charles Leclerc being the man to take the most points away. So over to the Drivers' Championship. Unfortunately, Max Verstappen is now just 7 points ahead of us, with Charles Leclerc being 13 points behind him, and Sergio Perez also being in with a good chance, but perhaps even Carlos Sainz too. Then it's a big leap back to Lewis Hamilton and George Russell, tied on 46 points. Behind them, Fernando Alonso, Lando Norris, Esteban Ocon round out the top 10. Looking down the order, we have Alex Albon, Pierre Gasly, Lance Stroll, Yuki Tsunoda, Oscar Piastri, Nico Hulkenberg, Valtteri Bottas, Kevin Magnussen, Zhou Guanyu makes up the final point scorer, and then Nick De Vries, Jack Doohan and Logan Sargent. And finally over to the constructors, Red Bull are now just 16 points ahead of rivals Ferrari, but a big leap ahead of Mercedes. Then Slothz on their own in 4th, followed by Aston Martin, Alpine, McLaren, Williams, AlphaTauri, Haas and Alfa Romeo. And that's all for this race. We catch you next time.